Cultural differences. Now, there's no law school at Florida Atlantic University, but there's an anthropology department. And I spoke to the head of the anthropology department, and I also spoke with a man in Jupiter, and he said he knew that he's a hunter-gatherer because he studied sociology. So the kinds of differences are there are hunter-gatherers, interdependent, collectivism, hierarchical, individualism, egalitarian, gleaners, pastoral, tribal, nomads, agrarian, Neolithic, and industrial. I was so pleased to find this document. It says that people in different cultures have different thinking styles. They also have different expectations. An African American male on my way here a few days ago said something, and I had to explain to him that Venus Williams is a twin of Serena Williams and they're not equal. People like to throw the word equality around because they want equal opportunity, and women want equal opportunity as men. So I was supposed to go to school in Canada, and I studied French for 7 years. And this is something different about Canadians. Police in Canada give out positive tickets. And also families all do both male and female tasks. So that would be a good reason for Meghan Markle to be in Canada, where she met Prince Harry. So styles of dress are also different in different cultures. Here is Japan compared to the Netherlands. Japan is hierarchical and the Netherlands egalitarian. But at the same time, Japan is still a culture which likes dignity, courtesy, and respect. So that's why they bow. This is Nigeria compared to South Africa. You know, Tyler makes a fierce face even when she's modeling. That's her culture. American woman would never hold her face in a way that does make her look most beautiful. That's just South African culture. And this is Nigerian culture. They're really financial. Now, the Portuguese, like Cristiano Ronaldo, they really like family. They do a lot of things with their family. And Cristiano Ronaldo now has 5 kids. But Anglo-Saxons tend to do things together. The couple works things out. Now, Cuban culture, which is my dad, and I really thank Tracy Bush-Pate for going to Cuba and bringing me videos, because my dad had this Cuban culture which affected our family, affected my mother, etc. And she just really clarified the whole thing for me. It was so impressive when I saw that video of Cuba and facts and data about Cuba, and that was my Father's Day gift to me, because she had that video around Father's Day. So India they show respect by saying namaste like that with their hands prayerful. And my life coach, who is Priyanka Chopra, she says we have to respect women, but she does she's upwardly mobile, she's on the rise right now, and she does a lot of motivational videos for women. So there are notable entrepreneurs also in that culture. These are a few. Now, I have had some conflict with hunter-gatherers because of their leadership style and their social controls. But I read Hal Draper, and he said that hunter-gatherers use gossip, ridicule, ostracism for social controls. And then I realized that when social controls erode, they turn into misogyny. And that I know somebody who published textbooks, but I'm not going to pursue an education in anthropology or culture, but I just copy the research from other people. So China also has courtesy, dignity, and respect as a part of their culture. That's why they bow like that. And it's also called kowtow. And I also had some videos of courtesy, dignity, respect, and gratitude. Yeah, these are the gratitude. And to the king, they will kowtow differently. And another thing, Americans think that Chinese stick together, so they marry and they do business together. It's possible. I don't know. I saw a Chinese man who was married to an Indian lady, and the daughter was so beautiful because she had like her hair was in between Indian and Chinese. So Rihanna is from, I think, Bermuda, and she had this big conflict with Chris Brown, a lot of media and everything, and now she's with somebody who is part Bermudian. So Meghan Markle at 11 years old started to talk about women's problems, women's conflict, and she really told us if we don't like something, tell someone because you may help a lot of other people. So I guess all the researchers of anthropology and cultural differences really helped me because I could copy their papers onto this video. So I was concerned about hunter gatherers and justice, and especially in the case of O.J. Simpson's wife, Nicole Brown. And also, I observed that in my case, I worked in government until 2006, and then I see the difference, and I think that hunter gatherers sort of respond to your class and your I don't know what else it is, some kind of status or your karma or something like that. I'm not going to ramble on this video, but this is Nicole Brown. I think she's a lovely girl. And her whole case really hurt me when I saw it on TV before I had my own problems. Anyway, here's Tyler from South Africa. She talks about South Africans, different from other countries in Africa. They have this thing called flex, which is some cultural thing. The facial expressions, the fierce face, and the cultural oddities, which makes them uniquely South African. So I'm Cuban and Jamaican, and I believe that that is what makes things very difficult for me because I just met a Jamaican guy and he was gossiping about some woman, and Kamala Harris said that people who bring others down are cowards, beat each others down are cowards. That's what she said. So I won't go on about my history. This really is not about me. I learned this and I'm sharing it. So you have your cultural differences, and then you have core values by the time you're 10 years old, and those are taught to you by your parents, and then you have personal values you develop all through high school by the time you're 21. So Jamaican schools, I think, are distinctly different from American schools. And I think that my mother bought a house right in front of the elementary school, so I used to jump the fence and go over to the school. I think that was symbolic for me, that education was important. The teachers in Jamaica, they can hit you with belts and stuff like that, and they're pretty tough. But it was more discipline, and it was easy to go into the Jehovah's Witness organization because Jehovah's Witnesses have more discipline than the schools. So this is Sagan Ranch Elementary School where my son tested gifted at 6 years old. And my nephew, who also was gifted, he's now a PhD in neurosurgery. But my son was here in the US. My ex-husband didn't have the same value system. He gave up an art scholarship and a football scholarship and worked for Florida Upon Light and remained a Jehovah's Witness until Satan took him out. But when my son tested gifted, my son should have been the priority. A judge should have ensured that my son keep his school, his class, gifted class, and his home. So this is my gifted nephew. What does he do when he becomes a PhD neurosurgeon? He gets a Rhodes Scholarship, and he goes back to his school to thank everybody at school and to just encourage other students. So here's my little tyke. And my sister sends me pictures all the time. I just had to turn off my phone because she's always talking to me. We always talk to each other because I said I'm not going up to New York. I like to run to New York to her to escape the Republicans and the class prejudice down in Boca Raton and the conflicts of any kind. But I'm not going to run to her. I'm going to be a big girl and try to empower myself and do the best I can. But I miss my little tyke so much. This was when he was the cutest. Because I remember that when they traveled on the plane from Miami to Jamaica, I sort of remember it, but I just realized that my grandmother was somebody who I said to my mom, I want to spend some time with my grandmother. And my grandmother lived alone, and I went and stayed with her and act the fool with her and everything like that. But my little tyke was sitting there in front of his great-grandmother. And my mom worked in government her whole life, and she had somebody to help her in the home. This lady also helped my sister with her baby while my sister worked at the bank. So this lady should have been entrusted with the care of my little tyke. He looked like the cutest little thing right there. These three boys, two of these three tested gifted. One is now a PhD in neurosurgery, and my son tested gifted at 6 years old, and now he's dead. So here's my nephew on his LinkedIn page, and here's the newspaper article about how bright these futures were. Just from their record of their education being gifted, they call this bright futures. So in the case of O.J. Simpson, I have pictures of the Brown sisters sitting there 30 years later. The grief is still the same. They're still sad, but they're not trying to figure out how the hell this happened and how could these be covered up. All this could be have a cover up. Anyway, I try to link the case of O.J. Simpson with the case of my ex-husband. Now, my ex-husband gave up a football scholarship. But if he didn't go with a football scholarship, he probably could have made as much money as O.J. Simpson. So, I believe that some of this case goes into the category of misogyny. And here's O.J. Simpson celebrating because he was not convicted. Regarding hunter-gatherers, of course, we know that African culture is not a culture that encourages courtesy, and they enslaved other tribes in Africa and put them on slave ships, and some of them died on the way to the ships. I think that some core values and personal values of Africans, I don't want to define them, but they're a little different. And then I got to the point where in 2023, the officer in Seattle, he mentioned about people being of limited value. So I guess that's a white cultural thing. White value system is that you have to have a lot of money. The more money you have, the more respect you have. So I had issue with all of the bad treatment that I was receiving and the conflict and toxic workplaces, and I cannot walk around and tell everybody it's not my fault. I can't do that. But I had to pull apart everything that happened. The big things that impacted my life. My not going to Canada to university. My coming to Miami. my coming to Palm Beach County with my ex-husband in 1989. So August 8, 2023, I had such an experience on the job of bullying and misogyny that I want to take this to court. I told the head of the Department of Anthropology, and he said I do need to go to court. However, more things about the culture. I was having a peace and prosperity event at the Boca Raton Plaza Hotel. I had it on that Sunday, but I had the best grits, the best bacon, and the best eggs and best coffee. But the day before, I went into Hughes Park, and it just happens that Omega Psi Phi fraternity was in the Hughes Park. They were having a party. So I was listening to the rap music. It was something new. It was about whores on their tippy toes. And you know, tippy toes is like tiptoeing. So I listened to the rap music a little bit, and I asked a girl who graduated from FIU. She said that the music makes them smart. Anyway, so I think the rap music shows a difference in culture. But I was looking at Kanye West, who is a role model, but he's not acting like a role model. He's having his wife walk around exposing her body and nude like a whore and all this stuff. And then he's having her doing oral sex. And I just feel like somebody needs to stop him. Just like somebody needs to prevent O.J. Simpson's wife from getting killed, somebody needs to stop him from doing this to this woman. So back to my culture, I guess what I did was, this is my family, and every year we had a Christmas dinner. We had great synergy in Jamaica. And we did a lot of things for each other's families and everything like that, which I've been discussing with my sister. But I guess that I brought the enemy into my family. But outside of me bringing the enemy into my family, at the age I got married, I did not really, my ex-husband never really knew me. He didn't know that I started working at age 17. And he didn't know that at age 18, that was my second government summer job. So we had a lot of conflict because he didn't really know me. So sometimes people really need to know the people they're in contact with for a long time. So I noted that, our house was near to the airport. And we had a lot of people coming into the airport, and we just take a fast trip over to the airport. And I had a white male Jehovah Witness come to my house. He got chased away by my dad. And then I had a white female Jehovah Witness. And then I went to the airport because the Jackson 5 were arriving. And our airport is not fancy. So there was this bench. And 1 o'clock in the morning, the Jackson 5 sitting on the bench waiting for the limousine, looking so tired and so human. But then at the concert, they were so phenomenal. And that's why I was a Jehovah Witness for 30 years. That's completely a right brain connection that the Jackson 5 were Jehovah's Witnesses, and they have such great talent that I should be a Jehovah's Witnesses. I put those two together in my right brain. However, I attended an Anglican school for girls only. And like I said, I studied French for 7 years. And my best friend studied German, Spanish, and English. And she lives in Germany. So causes for conflict, misunderstanding, what is appropriate, beliefs, definitions, compatibility, thinking, volatility, dominance. There are so many differences. And Andrew Bustamante says that we really have to stop and use our left brain. And so I recently had a man in McDonald's talking to me, and it started to make my right brain feel taxed or something. So I told him, could you stop? Because I work with my left brain, and I had to show him the app on my phone. And I said, the app is on my phone and it's on my desktop. And I do them both. But that's completely a left brain activity. He was talking about hustling. So I try to focus on my left brain because it's safer. That's what the CIA says. Anyway, I'm still convinced that I need to go to the International Criminal Court because I was being impacted from I was a 10-year-old child, and I think it was a betrayal because the whole thing that was impacting my life was just a property and real estate global scheme.